I'd like to open an account, please.
Oh, are you saving for something?
Yep, my money's gonna save the world. We're gonna turn wind into energy! And even make it possible for the sun to power stuff. We're making farms more efficient. And turning gas into electric. No exhaust pipes, see?
We're doing all that.
We sure are.
Hi guys, Kwe, Sunshine Tenasco and Indigenous Cause, Kitigan Zibi and Bunchba. My name is Sunshine Tenasco. I'm from Kitigan Zibi Anishinaabe in Quebec, which is an hour and a half of a drive away from Ottawa, Ontario. I am in Anishinaabe, unceded territory right now. Thank you for joining me. I am the author of Nibi's Water Song, which is a book that I wrote, a children's book I wrote about the lack of clean drinking water in First Nations communities. So I'm going to go ahead and read this book to you. And then after, I'm going to talk about the reasons why I wrote this book. And then we'll go ahead and read it again. And then we'll do a little writing activity. So here we go. This book is called Nibi's Water Song, and Nibi is the name of my 15-year-old daughter, and Nibi means water in my language, in Anishinaabemowin. And so I wrote it, and it's illustrated by Chief Ladybird. For my children, Keguna, Nibi, Kinu, and Chala, may you all create your own life with happiness. For my mom, Luce, who always ordered me scholastics books, and for teaching so many children to love reading. And for Pauline DeConti, the teacher who taught more than she ever knew, and for making me write my first book. Nibi was a thirsty, thirsty girl. So thirsty, her mouth was clucking. I am thirsty, thirsty, Nibi, and I need water. Nibi ran to her sink and tried to get water. Oh no, there was still no clean water. What should Nibi do? She ran to her neighbor's house. Nope, just brown water there too. Blech. No problem. Thirsty, thirsty Nibi skipped down the road to the river. Kegos the fish jumped up and told Nibi, you can't drink this dirty water. Blech. This water was too sicky too. No problem. Nibi skipped to the next town, the town with the big shiny houses. She knocked on the biggest, shiniest door she could find and said, I am thirsty, thirsty Nibi, and I need water. Do you have water? May I please have some? The nice lady who lived in the big house with the green roof gave her a teeny tiny plastic bottle of water and shooed her away. Nibi was so thirsty, she drank the bottle of water in one big gulp. Burp. Her water was all gone again. No problem. Thirsty, thirsty Nibi went back to the house with the green roof and knocked and knocked and knocked and knocked some more. Nobody opened the door this time. No problem. Thirsty, thirsty Nibi kept knocking on every single door in the town with all the big shiny houses. Knock, 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 knock. But no one came out. Nibi made a sign. She danced and sang down every street with her giant sign. I am thirsty, thirsty Nibi, and I need water. Nibi looked under rocks. Nibi looked in swamps. Nibi looked in houses. Nibi asked all of her friends. They had no water to share with her either. Where is the clean water? But then all of Nibi's friends started singing and dancing with her. She is thirsty, thirsty Nibi, and she needs water. They were so loud that the people in the big shiny houses came out. They listened, and soon they were all singing to Nibi's tune. She is thirsty, thirsty Nibi, and she needs water. The more they sang together, the louder they got. The whole town with the big shiny houses started to sing. She is thirsty, thirsty Nibi, and we want to help her have water. With a lot of hard work, digging and singing, everyone worked together. And finally, thirsty, thirsty Nibi got her clean water, and she shared with all of her friends. And she was happy, happy Nibi. So this book is a little bit about my community and the project that I started. So I started a project called Braids to talk about the lack of clean drinking water in so many First Nations communities. The reason that I called it Braids is because when we go into powwow or circle or ceremony, we braid our hair. And so when we braid our hair, we take 3 equal strands of hair. These are Anishinaabe teachings. Everybody has different teachings. And one strand, or this strand of hair, represents the mind, and the other one is the body, and the other one is the spirit. And so when you braid your hair, you tell yourself repeatedly while you're braiding your hair, mind, body, spirit, mind, body, spirit, mind, body, spirit, over and over again until your braid is done. And all of us as human beings, we all have these aspects of ourselves, right? Whether you're a baby, you're an adult, or an elder, we all have to nurture our mind, body, and spirit. And so when we braid our hair, it's a reminder that we have to be a healthy person. All of these parts of ourselves have to work together, and we're stronger when we care for each of those parts of ourselves. And we have this drum. I don't know if you've ever seen a big drum or a hand drum or the little boy drum. And the little boy drum is the water drum. And so we need water for, when we're thirsty, we need it for our mind, our body, and spirit. And so that's why I started this project called Her Braids. And so how it started out is I made these beaded pendants, which you can see that Nibi is wearing all throughout the book here. And it was to tell everybody who wore them to say, I support everybody having clean drinking water. And so it may sound like clean drinking water is not a big deal, but I want you guys to think about how often you drink water. So when you go to school, let's say when you're in school, how many glasses of water do you drink in the morning? So let's count. Let's work together here and think about this. You wake up in the morning and you have water. You may have a water bottle at school. After you have gym, you definitely run to the fountain and you go and drink water. When you after school, after the playground or wherever you go, you're going to have another glass of water. And then also before bed. Now, when your parents or your aunties or, someone's cooking for you, whether they're cooking rice or potatoes or boiling corn, you always use water as well, right? Can you imagine all the foods that you have to make to be able to make healthy, delicious food? All uses water. And so when we think about it, how about there's different communities, my community, especially, and so many others that don't have access to clean drinking water. So my community is an hour and a half from Ottawa. That's not a far drive. So who knows what Parliament is? Do you guys know what Parliament is? That's that big building in Ottawa with the green roof, where all the decisions and all the rules are made for Canada. And so this here, we're going to go through this book again, but we are an hour and a half close to the Parliament buildings, which is an hour and a half away, and we still don't have clean drinking water. So when we think, who can't drink from the tap, you sort of think up north or, down south, but it's happening everywhere in First Nations communities. So we're going to go through this. We're going to go through the book again, and we're just going to talk about each page a little bit more. So Nibi is thirsty. She wants water, but she can't drink it from a tap. Now, in cities, that's a normal thing that you can just run to the tap. But in so many First Nations communities, you can't drink the water because it makes, it makes you sick, actually sick, or gives you rashes and things like that. And so she goes, and there's different reasons why water is, not healthy to drink. And in here, I wrote the water is sicky, right? And that's just it. The water isn't healthy. And so when you drink it, it makes you not healthy either. And there's lots of communities where you can't even bathe in the water, or you can't even wash your clothes in the water. And otherwise it turns it brown. So it's not very good. So there's the brown water. A long time ago, we were able to drink from the rivers and everything was clean and spring waters. And now because of pollution and stuff like that, a lot of rivers, you can't drink from the water. So Nibi tries that route and that doesn't work either. So she says, no problem, and goes to the town with the big shiny houses. And she's asking for water. And so in this book, the big shiny houses sort of mean the houses in town, the fancy houses, and they go there and they're able to have water. And so the nice lady who lived in the big house with the green roof. So the big house with the green roof is talking about Parliament. That's where all the decisions in Canada are made. And so, Nibi goes to the big green roof, which means Parliament, and gives her a teeny tiny plastic bottle of water and shoos her away. So in my community, before there was a milkman, back in the day, we have a waterman who delivers those big jugs of water to our houses. But if you drink all of your water, and it depends on how many people live in your house, then you're all out of water and you have to buy it. And then you can't drink it and you have to go, to the store or whatever. So this is talking about that. And all of her water was gone in one big gulp. And then she was gone again. And there was no more of this bottle. And so no problem. She said she went back to the house and knocked, but nobody opened the door. It's too bad. You only get your two big bottles for the week, and we're going to close the door. So that's not really good. That's sort of a fake solution. It's a Band-Aid. It's not really helping and giving everyone access to clean drinking water. But Nibi, as so many other Indigenous kids and children, she kept going, and she kept doing it in a good and positive way, and kept singing and knocking and singing her tune. I am thirsty, thirsty, Nibi, and I need water. And so she made signs and danced down every street with her giant sign. So that's also a way you can, help this situation. But also, if you have social media, which you probably don't because you're a bit young for that, but is to talk about it. And instead of signs, put messages and let everybody know that clean drinking water is not a human right in Canada. Okay. So Nibi looked under rocks, she looked everywhere, and she asked all of her friends, but all of her friends are likely in her First Nations community, and they didn't have clean drinking water either. They were in the same situation as her. But then slowly, all of Nibi's friends started singing and helping, right? And using their voice and dancing. And you see these beautiful powwow dancers here? They're all helping her spread her message and talk about wanting to help Nibi have clean drinking water. And the more that people talked about it, and the more people sing and work together, then that parliament, the house with the big shiny green roof, had to listen because everyone was talking about it, right? And then soon they were singing, she is thirsty, thirsty Nibi, and she needs water. And the more they sang together, the louder they got. And the whole town with the big shiny houses started to sing, she is thirsty, thirsty Nibi, and we want to help her have water. And so that's what we're trying to do. Everybody's trying to do, and we need everybody to sing this tune. And with a lot of hard work, digging and singing, everyone worked together. And finally, thirsty, thirsty Nibi got her clean water, and she shared with all of her friends. And she was happy, happy Nibi. And so that's the key. Once everyone has it, then we'll be just the same as everyone else who lives in the city. And so we're trying to help make clean drinking water a human right. And so this last page here is sort of to talk about it. So your parents can read that to you, or your teachers can read this to you. It says, let's talk about clean water. We live in Canada, a place where people are known to be kind to each other, where people are seen as fair and welcoming. But this same place still doesn't treat people equally for some things like having clean water. If you've been running around like Nibi and get thirsty, you can go to your sink and get a glass of water. There are many Indigenous communities in Canada that don't have clean water. That means maybe families who live near you have brown bathwater that causes rashes, and drinking water that would make them sick. They have to boil their water before they can use it. And sometimes their water is so bad they have to use bottled water for everything. This needs to change. You can be a part of the solution. If you think everyone should have clean tap water, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your teachers, and tell everyone, just like Nibi. And so that's the idea, is to talk about it and bring awareness about it, because everybody knows, and especially kids, because you guys are so determined and honest and know the difference between right and wrong. So you know that everyone should have clean drinking water, and it really bothers kids, and as it should. And so our hope here is that you tell everybody that you know. And not just that, it doesn't stop there. So you can also sign this little pledge, basically put your vote in onto this project called the Blue Dot Project, to say we think everyone should have clean drinking water. Or what a lot of the students in my workshops, when I give them in person, do is we have them take a piece of paper and a pencil, and we have everybody write to the Prime Minister of Canada. And you can find his address online. You can ask one of your parents, and it could be something simple like, "Dear Prime Minister Trudeau, my name is Lindsay. I am 8 years old, and this is where I live. And I think that First Nations communities in Canada should have clean drinking water." And that's it. It could be something that simple. And you take that and you put it in an envelope and you put a stamp on it and you mail it off. And he is going to read that letter. Now imagine if every single person listening here today took the time to do that exercise and really take action. Imagine how powerful that would be if he got 100 or 200 or 300 letters from kids all across Canada to bring awareness about this. And so I often get letters from students who, participate in activities, and the teachers read this book, and they write to me and they write to Nibi, and they tell me what they've learned. And they tell me, "This reminds me of my community," or "This reminds me of this," or why don't you have clean drinking water?" And that's the question. Why don't we have clean drinking water when everybody else does, right? And so that is a very big question. I also like to take this time. I know you guys are very young, but you might have heard about the 215 Indigenous children who were ages 3 to 18 who died in residential schools. And their bones were just found. And residential schools was when they would come into the community and take kids and bring them away from their parents for years and years and years, and sometimes starve them, and sometimes do all kinds of not nice things and really scary things. And 250 in one school, their bones were just discovered. So that means they died in that school and they never went home. Now, I know that it's probably hard to hear about these things, but it's the truth, and that's what happened. And it happened to only Indigenous kids. So, if you lived in Canada and you were white or any other nationality, this didn't happen to you. But if you were Indigenous, Anishinaabe, First Nation, however you want to call us, someone could come into your house and take your children away from you. And so this is a very big issue about things that happen, that are continue to happen to Indigenous people in Canada. So we have to talk about this. I know it's a really difficult thing, but if we say this is not acceptable, we can't do this anymore, we have to change the rules. You guys, you kids are the ones who are going to make this change. You guys are the ones who are going to speak up, and you are going to be the ones who are part of this, who help get Nibi and all of her community and all of her friends clean drinking water, because we can't do it alone. We need strong allies. And so what's an ally? An ally is a friend, basically, who wants the same thing for you that they have. And we need all of the allies, who believe in good and who believe in equality, meaning that we all have the same things and we can all be happy and healthy and all of that stuff. So yeah, I'm going to go to a couple of questions here now. Let's see. Where are the shiny people getting the clean water from? So the people who live in the shiny houses in towns, they have clean drinking water. There's infrastructure, meaning there's water pipes in place. So I'd also like to say that, so my community is literally touching a French town of Maniwaki. So I'm from Kitigan-Zibi, and literally we're beside the French town of Maniwaki. So the French town of Maniwaki, every single house in the French town of Maniwaki has clean drinking water. And this is where non-Indigenous people live. And then literally you could take a foot, like 1 foot over, on this side, which is Kitigan-Zibi, which is my community, 40% of our community still doesn't have access to clean drinking water. That means almost half of our community, the people that live there, don't have access to that water. Now, we're asking the government that question. Why can they access clean drinking? Why does everyone in the town of Maniwaki have clean drinking water? And 40%, when we are very close, not have it. So imagine your teacher one day is, in a classroom and you can't drink the water. So you just have to drink from bottled water, and said, well, Lindsay, you're brown, so you don't get clean water. But Jennifer over here, we're going to give her the clean water. And Jennifer's friend, Aisha, she's going to get clean water as well. And this person's going to get it. But Lindsay's friend, Ashton, well, he's brown too, and he lives on this side, so he doesn't get clean drinking water either. So how are we making these decisions? It's not right? There's right and there's wrong. That's not right. We can't tell people because you are First Nations, you don't get clean drinking water. And so we all have to write to people who can create that change. And that's Prime Minister Trudeau. So everybody needs to write to him and say, hey, it doesn't matter if Lindsay and Ashton are brown. Everybody in Canada should have access to clean drinking water. And that's the whole purpose of it. Okay, that was a great question. Thank you. From Elkhorn Public School. Oh, wait. Yeah. Yes, this is a true story. I didn't see that part of it. What can we do to help fight for clean water in Indigenous communities? You can do just that. You can write letters and put it in an envelope and mail it off. And I know you guys are young, and if I was there, we do that as part of our project, is we get everybody to write a letter and we put it in an envelope, we put a stamp on it, and we put the address, and we put it at the post office and put it in our mailboxes, and it gets delivered to Prime Minister Trudeau. So that is one very huge step that you can do to help. And it will take you maybe an hour of your time, but the impact is amazing. You can also just talk about it, and any chance you get, to all of your friends and discuss it. Brown water is mud. Yeah, pretty much. It can be mud. My class is wondering why the water is not clean in your community. So a lot of water has to go through a filtration process. So you might learn this in science as well, right? There's sand and there's like mud and there's rocks. And so the earth naturally cleans it. But when the water is too polluted, whether it's, just regular pollution or boats or oil or whatever, the Mother Earth can't clean it properly. So it has to use a filtration system. So every water that you drink, if you're living, let's say in Ottawa, Ontario, it has a filtration system and it goes through the process and then it's clean to drink. Now, what happens is that if you live on a First Nations community, not all, but they don't have the infrastructure, meaning they don't have the filtration system put in place to be able to clean it out. And so that's why we don't have clean water in most of our communities. I speak English and I speak a little bit of Anishinaabemowin, which is my language. Oh, it's kind of, hold on. So question, how fast do families use up their bottle of water? Why can't they have as much as they want? Excellent question. Keep asking that question. Write to those people with the green roof and ask that question because that's what we're asking too. And that's why this project is started. And families get up to, like, it depends how many people live in your house. So, if you have only one person, you might get one jug, but that one jug is supposed to last you a week to drink, to cook, to all that stuff. So it's not a lot. And often, people run out of water. Is it expensive to provide this water to your community? It absolutely is, because imagine in every household having to deliver those bottles, which are $10 each, times it by 2 or 3 or 4. When if you go somewhere else, it's free. You just turn on your tap and it's done. And then we also have to pay for a truck a delivery service, someone to actually bring it to every single house and then take the empty bottles with them and do that. So it's very expensive to do that. What is your favorite book you have written, and is this book available? Yes, well, actually, this is my only book to date that I wrote. No, that's not true. That was published. Me and Chief Ladybird are who illustrated this book. I think there's a picture of her back here. She's beautiful. That's her, and that's her dog Ludo, who was in the pictures here. So she put Ludo and I put my daughter. So I wrote this book, Nibi's Water Song. And I also wrote another book, and me and Chief Ladybird are working on that right now as we speak. And so we can't say too much about it, but we're really excited, and it's a really good book as well. And so it's available on Amazon. You can just go on Amazon, or actually any Indigo chapters. They usually have, they're all stock there, and you can either order it online or go to chapters of Indigo. Let's see. Why does the government not give the community water? That's it. That's exactly the question. We need to change that, and we need to make sure that they see that everybody is equal in Canada. And sometimes they're just not seeing that yet, and we have to be the ones to make sure that they do. Did you have clean water as a child? So before, when I was a kid, they often didn't test the water as much as they do now. People test the water more often. So we drank it, and only when I was a teenager did we realize that it wasn't acceptable to drink. So yeah, we grew up drinking not so good water, and then we got the water delivery service. Who inspired you for the story? Well, obviously my little girl, her name is Nibi, and she's a little firecracker kid. Some kids are quiet, some kids are funny. She's just a real go-getter. And yeah, I think that it was important to have happy and powerful Indigenous kids on books, because sometimes we don't see that. When we go into bookstores, I didn't see a lot of kids who look like me, or characters that look like me, whether it was on TV or whether it was on books. And so I really think that it's important that we see other people, and we see Indigenous kids who are happy and who are making a change and who are doing something good. And so that was sort of the inspiration behind how she looks. And you can see here, obviously braids are a big thing for us, and you can see little stars in her hair. And her hair, how Chief Ladybird did it, was her hair sort of showed how she was feeling, throughout the book. So it's very interesting, her take on that. Okay, let's see. Yes, so the book is also published in French. So the question is, have you published your book in other languages? So it's available right now in English and in French. And it's also going to be available in the United States in October with a couple of different pages. So in this one, we said the building with the green roof, but in the next edition, which is going to be available in the States, there's actually two extra pages, one that I wrote and Chief Ladybird illustrated. And it's going to have the Parliament buildings in the background, and a jingle dress dancer who's in red leading that dance to Parliament. Are you in the story? No, but my name's on the front and the back cover, so that's good enough for me. Is this a problem throughout Canada? We are in Calgary, Alberta. Absolutely. It's everywhere. And, if you're with a teacher right now, there are tons of maps where you can Google where it's happening. And there's still so many advisories. And, I mentioned it really short, but some communities, you have to boil your water for 5 minutes. So if they don't have a water delivery system, meaning the blue jugs, you have to boil your water every single time for 5 to 10 minutes. Sometimes that's enough to get the purification, and it makes the water clean when you boil it. But imagine you're thirsty and you came from gym class and you try and get water. Well, now you have to boil it and then wait to cool down and then drink it, right? And you have to, how do you do that? Go to the kitchen? Does your mom or your parents or your aunties or, you know, whoever you're living with, do they have to boil it for you and send you with a water bottle? It's a real pain to have to do that just for water when you can get it anywhere else. So absolutely, there's maps that show little dots of all the communities who are on boil water advisories or who can't drink their water, because sometimes no matter how much you boil it, it's too sick, right? And you can't drink it, period, end of story. Okay, how do you get water if you can't get it from your tap? That's it. You don't have a choice, or else, you know, it's going to make you sick. So you have to get it from town or from the grocery store, and you have to get it in those water bottles. Is it only Indigenous people that have dirty water? That's a great question. There are a few towns that have made the news and people talked about it, but it made the news all across Canada, and everyone, you know, made a really big stink about it, and they got their clean drinking water pretty quickly and figured out a solution. And yet First Nations communities, you know, it's been 16 years now for our community where, you know, we've learned about this and acknowledged it, and it still isn't an issue. And so it's not met, you know, they don't talk about it in the news all the time. Whereas when it's a non-Indigenous community, when it's a town, there's a lot of talk about it. It's in the newspapers, it's on the radio, it's everywhere. And so we have to talk about it as well. And that Blue Dot project, which is a David Suzuki project. David Suzuki is an environmentalist, and he really, all his work is around that. And so the Blue Dot movement, why this project started as well with them, is to make clean drinking water a human right in Canada. Now, that means that everybody, no matter of the color of your skin, no, it doesn't matter, everybody will have access to clean drinking water. So if there is a town, let's say, that doesn't have clean drinking water, if everybody signs this Blue Dot pledge, then everyone will have access. But it will bring more change to First Nations communities, because we are the communities that are falling between the cracks. And so there's way more First Nations communities who don't have clean drinking water than there is other towns. So yeah, but I mean, the whole project is to get everybody having clean drinking water and make it a human right. And, you know, we can't live without water. There's so many things that we can live without. You know, we don't need electronics, we don't need, you know, all of this and that, but you absolutely cannot live without water. Our bodies are made of mostly water, and so denying this is outrageous. Let's see. Would like to know if students at residential schools had cafeterias and showers. Yeah, that's I don't know. I don't know all the details, but there's a popular saying that's going around right now that your schools have playgrounds, residential schools had graveyards. And that is sad, but truthful. And there was a lot of, you know, they wouldn't feed them properly, and they tested certain things on little kids your age, and it was very scary and made them, you know, I think maybe when you're older you'll learn more about it, but it was a really, really scary place, and they weren't treated properly. How about, let's see, about how many people? Yeah, there are still tons. I don't know offhand how many, but before, hold on, maybe I can look that up. But there's still so many communities, thousands and thousands and thousands of people without clean drinking water in First Nations communities. How can we help other than letters? And I guess that's a great question. You know, I guess that's what we're all asking. And really it's about getting in touch with the change makers. I do my work through beaded pendants, and before COVID, I would go and give workshops and show people how to bead and have this conversation, because not a lot of people know that we don't have clean drinking water, and it's important to tell that story and to tell the truth and educate people. And now this is sort of part of my work. So I wrote a story so that I can give workshops like this, so that I can educate, so that you can ask that question. That's an important question to ask. And I appreciate you wanting to help. And so, come up with creative ways, maybe write a story, maybe write a song, maybe make artwork, tell everybody, make fundraisers, get everybody to sign the Blue Dot Pledge, write letters, be as creative as you possibly can. Young people, you guys are so creative. And so you probably have better ideas than me, but as long as you're thinking about that, that's awesome. Why is her name Nibi? I don't know. She was just, so I named her Nibi because that's my daughter's name, and she's 15 years old. And well, at the time she was younger when I wrote the book, and it means water. And she was always, when she was born, we're born in water, right? You have the amniotic fluid around when you're pregnant that protects the babies in women's bellies. And so when she was born, she came out and there was so much amniotic fluid, which is like, your water breaking. And she came out in a big waterfall of water, the most that the doctors had ever seen in my mom. And so I named her Nibi, and yep. And of course, she just loves water still to this day. How long did it take you to make this book? So I thought about it for a while. And then finally, one day after a workshop, a parent said, I really wish that I had something to teach my younger kids, because the beading workshops are for grade 4 and up. And so I said, I'm going to just sit down and I'm going to write this book. And so I wrote the first draft, and it was, again, the same character. I knew what I wanted her to go on this journey and to find clean drinking water. And it didn't, it wouldn't end. I couldn't figure out a way. And so a couple of days later, I sat down and tried again. And I wrote it all in one sitting. So for over the course of a day. And then over that week, I would just look at it and make changes and add this and do this. So it probably took me about a week to write it. And then it took me another 6 months to finally send it to Scholastics. And then from the time I sent it by email, so Scholastics are the people who actually make it. So it was literally just me handwriting things on blank paper. And then I put it in an email. And then when I finally emailed them, it took about 2 whole years to publish it, from the time that I sent it to the time that it became this, and, signed the contract, had Chief Ladybird. So, we sort of take it for granted that like these things just appear, but someone had to sit down and actually create this whole image. And that takes a lot of work. So you guys must color and write a lot, So how long would it take you to make this, just this one picture? That takes a long time. That's a lot of hard work. And so can you imagine every other picture in here, right? And drawing these and doing all that? That's a lot of hard work. So she really put a lot of time and effort into it, and it took 2 full years. What are some of the things you like about living in your community? That's a good question. I love so many things. It's very, you're in the bush, and there's bush everywhere. So you can just, your backyard, people are always doing something. You could go at any time and people are fishing, or people are, making syrup. You spend a lot of time outside, and there's family, there's a lot of visiting, and just sitting there, drinking tea. So it's beautiful. First Nations communities, my community, Kitigan Zibi, is beautiful. When did you write this book, and has there been any change? There's been a little bit of change. So we have to acknowledge that as well, that, there's communities that don't have boil water advisories anymore, or they have access to better clean drinking water. But it was supposed to be at this year, everybody was supposed to have that, and we're not there yet. So my work continues until everybody has clean drinking water, and then I don't have to do this work anymore. And that's going to be an amazing day when that happens. Oh, yeah. Do you have animals in your community who can? Oh, okay. I'm here. Okay, we're back. Sorry, we had a little glitch here. Um, do you have animals in your community who can or can't drink too? I mean, water is, every animal drinks water. And so every animal that you can think of, I think their systems may be better equipped to handle it than our systems, our delicate human bodies. But yeah, ideal world, we'd be able to have clean water and be able to drink from rivers and all that stuff again. But in order to do that, there has to be other things in place, to bring the pollution down. How sick do you get when you drink the dirty water before Chelsea? It's different. Each community has very different issues. I know that we have a lot of cancer in our community, like a lot of cancer. Different people have, different communities, they get rashes all over their body for taking a shower, for, bathing it consistently and washing your clothes with it. And so that's a great question. But it's all different across the board because there's so many different issues. I wish I could answer that one better. And then the last question, hi, how can we buy a beaded necklace? So we have on herbraids.com, there's a shop. We're often sold out. But yeah, we're going to be restocking soon, and you can buy necklaces like this and different sorts. So go to herbraids.com. And we're running out of time now. I want to thank you so much for sticking with me and hearing about this water issue and allowing me to read this book. I hope that it was helpful. I can't wait to see what you guys do. You can email me anytime you want at herbraids@gmail.com. And I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you for sitting with me and giving me this time. Bye.